Thank you for your interest in the Center Street Revitalization Visioning and Design Project. This is a recorded version of the presentation that was delivered at the public engagement event held on November 22nd at the Kinsman Pavilion. A summary of the feedback gathered during the interactive workshop and through the online survey will be compiled and made available as part of the What We Heard report that will be prepared and presented to Council by the consulting team. Your insights will help the consultants create initial visual design concepts for a future Center Street area. These draft concepts will be made available to the public in the coming weeks and seek further comments and feedback on the designs before final renderings are complete. If you are unable to attend the public engagement session or have not yet provided your thoughts and ideas through the online survey, we encourage you to listen to this presentation, then complete the survey available on the Speak Up Smith Falls project website. I'd like to begin tonight with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this is the sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located and has been the site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with our relations. Together, we may care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Council, as part of its current strategic plan, identified the revitalization of Center Street as a key priority. Although the town does not own the properties that make up Center Street, it's our job to identify growth and economic opportunities and be the catalyst to encourage and support change. We are here tonight to get your feedback to help guide a new vision for Center Street, a snapshot into the future place that is no longer a derelict industrial landscape and a sea of asphalt and concrete, but rather one that best serves the community as a whole. One that encourages new business investment and tourism investment, provides public green space and recreational connections, new cultural and entertainment amenities, as well as residential capacity. Change doesn't happen on its own. It's the result of forces working together, and it starts with a conversation, this conversation. The town, in collaboration with Fotan Planning and Design, has undertaken the Center Street Revitalization and Design Project that aims to undertake a design charrette process to capture public and stakeholder input on the future revitalization of Center Street. The project will result in the creation of design concepts to illustrate feedback received, maximize the potential economic and design-based benefits to the community that contributes to an enhanced quality of life experience for citizens and visitors, and provides a roadmap that will guide the next steps for implementing the design project. The Fotan Planning and Design team come to us with extensive experience and knowledge of Center Street and Smith Falls as a community. Each member of the consulting team has expertise in their respective field and will be able to provide a vision that meets the unique characteristics of the site and our community needs as a whole. I'll now pass it over to our facilitators to provide you with a brief history on the site, as well as some opportunities and constraints.
Thank you, Julia. I just want to say on behalf of our team that we're very pleased to be able to work on an important project like this. We're looking very forward to engaging with everyone that's here tonight. We've had a really good response to the survey that has been out for a couple of weeks now, and will remain open until next week. I'll start with a real quick introduction. My name is Doug Fountain. I'm Principal of Landscape Architecture at Fotan Planning and Design. I work out of Ottawa. With us here also is Hijani Padarats. She is the Principal of Urban Design, also out of our Ottawa office. Joining us from our Kingston office is Megan Blay. and she is a landscape designer. Both myself and Megan are actually from Smith Falls. We were born and grew up here. So we're innately familiar with the site and all that much more excited to work on a project like this. So tonight, this is meant to be an interactive evening session. We want to speak for a very short period of time, and then, mostly what we want to do tonight is listen to you folks that have offered your time to come out tonight. We do, however, have a couple of things that we just want to go over so that it sort of sets the stage for the exercise tonight. We're going to talk about the study area itself. I'll talk very briefly about the site history. It's hard to encapsulate everything because it is such a long and storied past. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with it, but it's very interesting. And we'll provide Hajani's going to provide an overview of some of the documents and studies, regulatory policies that are currently in place, and sort of give you a sense of how we got to where we are today. And then we'll talk about the study area and sort of the surrounding context and what we've seen with our own two eyes from viewing the site. And there will be opportunity for questions, and then we're hoping to jump into a really lively and engaging discussion shortly thereafter. So I'll just give a overview of the study area itself and the area that we'll be examining. It's bound by the it's bound by Chambers Street to the north and the Rideau Canal and River to the south. The western boundary of the site extends. It ends only about 50 meters from Beckwith Street and extends east almost to Elmsley Street. There are three north-south oriented streets that punctuate into the study area: Market Street, Bay Street, and Giles Street. And there's a variety of tenants and buildings already within the study area. You'll be familiar with all of the tenants and businesses operating in Smith Falls Square. We have the Giant Tiger, which is sort of the anchor tenant, if you will. The Ontario Courts, there's a thrift store, furniture and appliance store, a bowling alley that's been in existence for quite some time, a health services office and a laundromat. On site also is a restaurant, cafe, which is currently closed, and a retail shop. There's an auto parts retailer. Of course, a prominent building on the site at the water is the O'Connell Lodge Hotel and Rob Roy's Pub, which has a very popular waterfront patio. The hotel, we understand, has a water lease, so in front of their building, they do maintain access to the water. Of course, the mixed-use building, which is the former Canadian Tire, is serving as warehouse space now. There's food production facility inside, some second floor apartments, and some exterior storage space, which is seasonally rented by LeBoat for their cradle storage of their boats. Flanking the site on the east boundary is the Rideau Canal Maintenance Compound. It's currently owned and operated by Parks Canada. And just to the north of that, on the opposite side of Center Street, is the bus depot, which has exterior parking for the buses and some offices, repair shop, and refueling station. So in addition to what's on the site currently, we're also considering the site's surroundings, the context and the connections to the downtown and the other green spaces along the south of our site, where we've highlighted the green spaces that are available. So it's quite a healthy volume of green space and outdoor amenity space that's available to the town. So we're recognizing that the connections to that are very important. So you may not be aware, but this site has a very rich history dating back to the mid 1840s. This was really kind of the center of industry when Frost and Wood Company began producing um, wood stoves and plows and agricultural implements. Um, the site was perfect for use like that due to the convenience of an adjacent water supply and obviously for shipping up and down the Rideau Canal. In 1859, the Grand Trunk Railroad arrived and it provided another means to export goods to international markets. There was actually a spur line extended from there to ship their, at the time, they had over 750 agricultural tools, implements, and machines in their catalog. So that spur line extended right down into their site. So that gives you a sense of the volume of material and goods that they were exporting. They were shipping product to the UK, Ireland, Scandinavian countries, the Mediterranean, Russia, South America, and Africa. Probably a few others that I've forgotten. But the buildings on site were developed over time to support the growth of the manufacturing and grew to include a foundry, a blacksmith shop, carpentry workshops, and paint shops, numerous storage sheds, offices. They even had some housing for some of their employees at the time. Before 1900, they were up to about 500 employees. Of course, like many factories during the World Wars, they were forced to retool and focus on manufacturing products to support the war efforts. At this site, Frost and Wood was producing aircraft parts, shell casings, and became known for their hand grenades. Um, Also, like many factories of that era, they experienced a couple of devastating fires over the years in 1854 and in 1906. After the 1906 fire, the town of Smith Falls recognized the economic impact of such a major employer, and they actually found a way to loan the company $150,000. This is 1907 to assist with the rebuild. So they were able to modernize their facilities in that rebuild. Um, Also, kind of ironic, the modernization included the addition of a coal dump. And they also developed an on-site electric power plant. They also added lumber sheds, first aid hospice, and upgraded all the ventilation and fire protection. By 1949, they had reported a roster of employees of about 840 people. So it's quite significant in a town with a population of 9,000 at the time. There was some change in ownership over the years, and as I understand it, some distribution agreements with the Cockshot Plow Company forced them to shutter the factory in 1955. And there was 350,000 square feet of floor space on this 10 to 14 acre site at the time. So fairly significant factory facility, and unfortunately there was no new tenants could be persuaded to set up shop here, and the site was demolished, with the exception of the Malleable foundry, which ultimately burned down in 1967, but it sat approximately where the old current Canadian Tire warehouse is today. So I'd encourage you to explore the history a little more. We personally found it very interesting, um, and my grade 10 history teacher would be pleased to know that I actually retained some of this information. But um, we believe that there could be a story to tell there. It's kind of significant, and there's some parallels we think to be drawn between the growth that the town is currently experiencing and what happened between, that 115-year period that Frost and Wood was operating on site. So I'll flip it back to Hajani now. She's going to provide an overview of the official plan and zoning that regulates the land uses today, and touch on some of the previously completed studies that have put us where we are today.
Thank you, Doug. So as Doug mentioned just now, we're going to do a quick overview of the existing policy and regulatory framework for the town of Smalls, as specifically to the Center Street area. So the current slide that we're showing right now is indicating the Schedule A land use plan of the current official plan of Town of Smith Falls. As you can see, the study area is under the downtown core designation. So the downtown core is planned to provide a vibrant and human-scaled environment with a range of uses providing support for active transportation. Architectural integrity, heritage conservation, and opportunities to improve access to open space will be key considerations in planning for the growth and vitality of the downtown core. So residential projects within the downtown designation should generally incorporate ground floor commercial uses. And there's a need to balance the need for parking to support the thriving downtown and with the need to minimize the impacts on parking upon the vibrant pedestrian and urban environment. The town also recognizes the Center Street area as a targeted growth area within the town of Smith Falls. What this means is that it has a focus for new growth in these targeted growth areas to protect the quality of existing neighborhoods while establishing new mixed-use neighborhoods with a compact and denser form that is attractive to the town's projected demographics, for instance, young families or senior population. And that this supports walking, provides opportunities to incorporate retail and other services in a mixed-use format. This next map speaks to the transportation network. So currently Center Street is identified as a local road. A portion of the site also fronts onto Chambers Street, which is a collector road. Chambers Street is connected then to Elmsley Street, which is one of the major access to the town, and Beckwith Street. Both these streets are arterial roads that define the downtown core triangle. There are also some constraints in relation to the natural heritage and features of the site. So the Rideau River shoreline is regulated by the Rideau River Conservation Authority, and it also overlaps with the 30-meter environmental buffer required by Parks Canada to preserve and restore the views to and from the UNESCO Heritage Site, in this case the Rideau River. The town has also recently approved its new zoning bylaw, in which the site is zoned Downtown Waterfront, DW zone. And this zone is intended to implement the policies of the downtown core designation in the official plan and recognize these lands as significant due to their close proximity to the Rideau River, which is again a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the downtown core itself. This zone permits a variety of different uses, including public uses such as community and recreational facilities, a range of commercial uses, and complementary institutional uses, as well as residential. The permitted residential uses, however, would be required to be up on the second floor and up, allowing for the ground floor to be used as commercial active frontages, helping activate the streets. The zone currently has a minimum building height of 7 meters and a maximum building height of 15 meters. When looking to establish the goals and objectives for this study, we looked at the Town of Smalls strategic plan from 2019-2022, where they have a vision to be a caring community that provides citizens with a superior quality of life through effective and innovative services. Some of the goals include building a diverse economy with a strong business sector, creating a healthy community with a quality of life services for residents, redeveloping our waterfront and downtown core, and preserving and enhancing the heritage buildings and services. Smiths Falls has several long-term plans that will help achieve this vision, one of them being the Smiths Falls Active Transportation Plan from 2021. This document was prepared by WSP, and it was proposed as a town-wide active transportation network. The vision was to provide a safe, accessible, and convenient active transportation network that connects major local and regional destinations, encourages diverse travel options, and promotes a high quality of life for residents of all ages and abilities. In addition, a Parks and Recreation Master Plan, recently approved in 2022, was prepared by RCS. This document establishes a priority to complete a vision for waterfront parks in collaboration with Parks Canada, including identifying and prioritizing shore areas for naturalization and restoration efforts, and the design of the waterfront for accessibility with an active, aging population in mind. As mentioned previously, the town has also recently passed the new comprehensive zoning bylaw from 2022, which establishes new zoning requirements for this area. And lastly, from 2013, there's a downtown revitalization and waterfront integration master plan. This document was prepared by ETA and Sierra Planning and Management. We decided to look back at this file now over 10 years ago, but given that some interesting work had been done in the past, so we wanted to validate and make sure we're still in line with this project and this vision. The vision established on the master plan from 2013 was: the town of Smiths Falls downtown and waterfront core area is envisioned as the heart of the Rideau that will create a cohesive community identity on the Rideau Canal. It strives to protect and enhance the unique natural environment and extensive cultural heritage, provide a strong framework for social interaction, land and water-based recreation and tourism, and encourages mutually supportive investment in the public realm and public development sites. So the master plan from 10 years ago was proposing 4 streams or sectors of the downtown core with distinct characters. The first one was the top of the town, or a civic precinct, which included a civic square, civic center, and public library. That's the blue area shown on this map. The pink area, identified as downtown core revitalization area, it focuses on the main streets and commercial uses of the downtown core and an area designated for revitalization, as well as some transitional areas to surrounding neighborhoods. The yellow area on this plan, known or entitled Lower Town Waterfront Redevelopment Area, was identified as an area for potential redevelopment and intensification. This is where the Center Street area is located, and more importantly for this project. And lastly, the waterfront itself, identified here in green as the UNESCO Rideau Canal Waterfront Greenway. This master plan also proposed a set of 16 guiding principles, of which around 10 apply specifically for the subject site. One of them was the distinct character areas. The Center Street was encapsulated within the waterfront district and was identified as being underutilized and disconnected from the downtown. The opportunity exists for key pedestrian and cycling connections. A second guiding principle from this document spoke to the need to protect and enhance community heritage features. So key resources were to be protected and enhanced, including heritage buildings, the Rideau Canal and associated infrastructure, the waterfront, and other parkland and historic streetscapes. Another guideline was to reconnect with the UNESCO waterfront heritage. So it was proposed to enlarge the public interface with the waterfront to ensure all people can easily access the water's edge. Connecting the waterfront with key development sites is imperative to the integration of the waterfront with the downtown. The fourth guideline that applied for this site was the waterfront development site. This highlighted the opportunities and potential for future waterfront development. Next, we want to speak to create new population and services through progressive development. This included revitalization of the downtown and waterfront area as a vibrant hub of recreational, social, and economic activity. It also spoke to remove barriers to investment by public intervention. So they were looking to incentivize investment through utilization of the community improvement plan in private residential, commercial, and mixed-use properties, removing or reducing the financial costs associated with property rehabilitation and or redevelopment. Another guideline spoke to achieve higher density in the downtown. So it was aiming to achieve higher density in the downtown core via new ownership housing in the downtown, particularly the waterfront area, which represents the most appropriate location for high-density forms of residential development. And lastly, the guideline that spoke to appropriate infill development. So it was a focus on infill development, new build to replenish residential neighborhoods, and adaptive reuse of existing but underused commercial and institutional buildings is important in this regard to support the downtown vitality. So this map was taken again from the 2013 master plan. Basically, it illustrates the different character zones as well as some of the strategies that were thought of at the time. This includes potential new connections to the waterfront by extending road patterns, new paths, and a pedestrian bridge, as well as lookout points along the waterfront greenway and arrival gateways. So we use some of these to incorporate into our opportunities and constraints that Doug will continue on with this presentation.
Thank you, Hajani. So this slide, opportunities and constraints, this is a map that we commonly produce when we begin a project and we're looking at a piece of land or property. And it allows us to sort of loosely document some of our observations and what we feel the opportunities and constraints afforded by the physical site are. So you have to consider this a plan, a work in progress. There's a lot of information that is yet to be layered onto this, and that's why we're here tonight. We want to understand the needs and the values of the residents of Smith Falls and some of the cultural aspects that aren't apparent on the ground. Only when you get out and talk to people like we're doing tonight do you really get a sense of those values. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish in tonight's session. Just to further orient you to the site, here are some photos from the site. In the upper left, that is looking west from Elmsley down Center Street, and you can see the town water tower kind of terminates, just beyond the canal. So it's quite a focal point. On the top right is another view that we ultimately want to consider, and that's the view from that boaters would get as they come out of the combined lock station. The lower left is a view of most of the site. Of course, the hotel features prominently in this vista, as do the storage of the boat in the off season. You can see the fleet. If this image were taken 2 weeks later, you would see the fleet of boats in the cradle on the left of that image. And this image is taken from the pathway that leads from and to Lower Reach Park on the opposite side of the river. On the bottom right, again, there's the church spire that just, we believe by happenstance, seems to be aligned with the street up to Chamber Street. And of course, on the right, you can see the property where Healy's Bus Depot is currently located. The image in the top left is looking down Center Street towards Elmsley. The crane tower is sitting on the former site of the South Unit Hospital, where they're currently constructing a new apartment complex. On your left is the Healy's bus depot, and on your right is the old Canadian Tire garage, and there's some apartment units on the second floor. The image on the top right is of Smith Falls Square, which has frontage on Chambers Street. And on the left side of that image, looking down that sidewalk and street, you can start to appreciate the elevation change from Chambers Street down to Center Street and the plateau that is directly adjacent to the canal. That elevation change is roughly 4 to 4.5 meters. So that presents a challenge for barrier-free access and universal accessibility. But at the same time, we do recognize that these are important views because of the elevation change. You're presented with a commanding view of the water, and that's something that we definitely want to ensure is preserved and possibly even framed and highlighted. Of course, with respecting and ensuring that universal accessibility can be achieved. The lower left image is of the current state of Center Street. Feels mostly like a very utilitarian parking lot, kind of a back of house for both Smith Falls Plaza to the right and the O'Connell Lodge to the left. The O'Connell Lodge does have sort of a main lobby and portico that's on the opposite side of the building. But I think day to day, this is the entrance that's primarily used, and the same can be said for Rob Roy's, although they do have a patio that faces out towards the water. The lower right is just the off-season storage of all of LeBoat's fleet. This is what they look like sitting in their cradles and fully wrapped and winterized. The fleet will be expanding as of the 2023 season, so the footprint of this seasonal storage area will grow, but there's no plans for it to be relocated to another site as of today anyway. As noted earlier by Julia, this is the end of the presentation portion of the public engagement meeting that was held on November 22nd. A summary of the feedback that was provided during that interactive workshop portion will be made available in the form of a What We Heard report, and will seek to inform all activities that were undertaken as part of this study. Thank you very much.